We probably need to get now we've got a mic for him. We probably need a camera on the other side just getting him because him just kicking off the podcast talking.
Be the Stig though, like forehead. Yeah, but it could be like the Stig off Top Gear. You know,
Oh yeah,
no one ever knew who he was.
Oh yeah, that guy that does all the train watching and has like a GoPro on his head.
Oh, Benedict.
Just have that that pointing down at him. Yeah.
All right, this is another episode or another take of It's Just Coffee and Coffee Break. I got to make a few more of them, and I'm sorry that I've made you all listen to just that one for a while.
What other sound? Hey, we need to get sound clip. It's whenever something ridiculous is said or done, you need to clip it and put it on the soundboard.
Yes.
Kirk just ripped a massive fart in the last episode that reverberated across the room. So
the galaxy.
If you can hear that in the mic, let's get that as the soundboard. Just
don't worry, I can make a new one for you.
Can I give you a little taste of what I've been messing around with?
This is exclusive. So
exclusive.
Our producer here, Liam, if you don't know, is also an amazing musician, producer, writer. So I don't know what he's got in store for us, but we're about to hear.
Well, so we have a section in the podcast called as a hot take. It's a hot take with 2 sugars. So instead of just doing the classic air horn, I thought I'd have a little call and response. So, espresso's out and then. Try that one more time.
Oh my, play it again.
Sounds Tame Impala-ish. Oh yes.
Hot take with 2 sugars.
I would also like a little for when the coffee news starts.
Oh yeah.
Do you mean something like this?
Yes.
Welcome back to Coffee News.
Yeah. So in that little clip, I've actually got that Morse code is actually saying this is Coffee News. It's just coffee.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I would have almost loved that even as an Easter egg just for people to find out. Some nerd out there who's like sitting in a bunker and he's
these are the gifts. These are the gifts of tuning into another coffee break with us.
Oh, that's beautiful. I also love, for the people at home, I'd never heard any of that before. Liam's just sitting out the back in the office here, just tinkering away.
He's been in the lab.
That's it. We'd be cooking. Anyway, let's talk about the episode today. I had an absolute joy, especially looking at the history behind you guys and Jamie, and just his take on both you and Sonam. I was just like, how didn't I put 2 and 2 together? That is a treasure trove of stories, I'm sure.
Yeah. So we were absolute chaos. So there was the 3 of us that were trouble in the old cafe. That was me, my boy Mike the Bike, and my business partner now, Sonam Sherpa. And you could get two of us on the machine, fine. We'd rip it out. There was one day where it was all 3 of us behind the machine. We all came in matching white T-shirts and red shorts. There's a picture out there. I'll try to find it for you if you can. And we were just chaos, just dancing behind the machine, going off, having a great time, steam ones blaring. And I tell you what, there was never a lineup of coffees on the docket. Like there was no dockets lined up because we were just punching them out so quick. But at the end of the day, the boss, Dimey, just came up to us and goes, "Hey boys, I'm glad you had fun, but that'll never happen again. We'll never have the 3 of you on again." So yeah, we had a great time, but we were young, we were reckless. But we had a good time.
I mean, look at you now.
Look at me now.
No,
Mom.
but seriously, like it's those relationships, right, that have like stuck. It's like the people that you have that fun with and that you like go through the mud with.
Yeah,
like,
well, Sonam, business partner. I remember early on, like I was working, we were working in different industries. He's working, doing his manufacturing, doing cafes, doing that kind of stuff. And I remember him just saying to me, he's like, "Rohan, if we ever get the chance to work together, we need to do that because it would be bloody great." And look at us, here we are now.
He seems like a fun guy.
He is.
Well, I know he's a fun guy.
Yeah, you know for a fact he's a fun guy. But yeah, Jamie, always a pleasure to have on, always a wealth of knowledge, always so much to say when he's going through that. Any standouts for you from Jamie? I mean, interesting from you, is there anything that kind of stood out as someone that hasn't spent maybe as much time with Jamie, Liam?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. His kind of take, he took a moment in the episode. It was like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to try? And I actually loved his take on going to a coffee farm because, like, you know, in Melbourne, we're so lucky to have like wine, and obviously it's hospitality is so important to us. But I think, going to a day trip to a winery, having some beautiful cheese, some beautiful wine that's, farmed, I guess you would say, or like created.
Picked cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, grapes, right. Yeah.
You get that experience of the people that make it, and it is such a beautiful thing. Being able to try that. I never really thought about going to a coffee farm before. And I've been working with coffee for a long time.
Have you been to one, Rohan?
No, I've been to the one up in Byron Bay, like the Australian one, but never like a coffee farm in any of the origins or like Colombia, Brazil, whatever.
Might not be the most accessible.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an interesting thing. A lot of coffee people, obviously, when you get into the buying game, into the roasting game, head of cafes, that's when it kind of happens. I'm sure, have you been?
Yeah, it's like a real eye-opening experience, to be honest. And there's different sort of types of coffee farms too. So my very first coffee country that I went to was Bolivia.
Yeah.
And like and Jamie mentioned Bolivia in the in the podcast. So there's like really only one region where they produce coffee now. Well, there's more than that. But I went to Caranavi, and to get there, you have to travel on something called the Death Road. And like, it's just, I wasn't prepared for it because one, I was jet lagged. It was a big trip over there. And then, you're driving along the roads and it's just so bumpy. You drive 5 hours to travel, 100 kilometers sort of thing. And just so bumpy, and you're just begging to go to sleep, but you can't because you're getting whiplash while you're driving. And then you arrive there. It's just magical. Like it's so beautiful, and the coffee tastes so much better over there. But also you see we met a family that guy had his 2 kids and his wife living in a shack with no power in the hills in this coffee region. So it's like, that's why when you hear us talking about the price of coffee so much, it's like, there's some of the reasons why. We want to uplift these people's lives.
Yeah.
If you would never get asked to do something like that in Australia.
Well, Sonam talks about it. He says, it's like can be beautiful. He's like, there's also some grim parts to it and some really hard to see parts to it where you're like over there, like this is not great living conditions and elements that are happening over there. So you can see that price is kind of important as long as they're making sure that it goes back to those right places.
You also want to do a great job of their coffee too.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's levels to it. I also, when I was in Brazil, went and stayed with someone that had like a horse stud and all these fancy cars and a butler in the house and personal chef. And I was like, well, hang on, this is kind of completely different to what I just witnessed. Because in Brazil, it's the biggest coffee producing country in the world. It just works a little bit differently there. So
sorry, just readjusting. Just threw you off there as we go. I think that's. I think that's amazing. And I think the idea of that being more visible to the consumer is a really cool thing. But I don't know, whenever you seem to talk about a coffee farm to the consumer, I mean, you just see so many like pictures of people picking a cherry in the farm, but I don't think people actually really care. Like, and I think they should. I think it's just finding the way to make them care or how to tell that story. Because I think it's kind of been done to death of just the, drone shots of a coffee farm or the classic picture of just someone looking happy picking some cherries.
How do you do that? Do you reckon, how do you switch the conversation to put more weight behind it? Do we need to, this sounds bad, is the way to do it a branding thing? Is it like making them cool so you're more invested in the personalities that live, instead of it just being, we're looking at a bean, it's like we're looking at the person holding that.
I think that's a big part of it. And there's a brand out there called We Coffee. So OUI. So started by Charlotte Mullival, who is a former French barista champion. And they have these like Pokemon cards where they
I'm in. You had me at Pokemon.
But the way I think about coffee now is like, for example, the best espresso I've ever had was Finca Hartman Natural 2018. And it's like, those are memories in your head that you really can't ever forget. And for me, that's like some of the funnest parts about coffee, just drinking them all and banking them in your head and being able to memorize it and be like, oh, that's crack. And I understand not everyone's going to do that. Not everyone wants to do that. But for me, that's the funnest part.
Yeah.
Remembering those good ones. And
I think it's like, what's interesting about that is that you see so much difference, even for me, and I mean, you even spoke about it in the pod about how when someone asks for a specific blend, then you on purpose would put out a house blend. And it's like, can you actually taste the difference between these things? And I like the fact that you have such a clear identifier between the different blends and the different types and all those things. Maybe like that's a really important like thing as just a normal coffee drinker.
Yeah.
You know, like
the education side is there. I also had another one because you have to read the customers, similar to the putting the house blend next to the Ethiopian so they could tell the difference. I had a guy who asked for a coffee and I said, do you want the single or do you want the house blend? And he goes, mate, it's just coffee. Plug. It's just coffee.
It's just coffee.
They all taste the same. I don't care. And I go, mate, I tell you what, these will taste different. He goes, no, they won't. I said, I'm going to make you, it's more expensive. I'm just going to make you the single just so you can see there's a big difference because you will tell it. And this was like Wahana Estate. Think like fermented pineapple-y, like plum, like kind of coffee. And I put it down and I go, how about that? And he has a sip and he goes, wow. He goes, okay, that is very different. I've never tasted anything like that. He goes, I bloody hate it, but it's but you are right. I've never had anything like that, and that is crazy. And I'm like, great, here I'll make you the house blend. He had that, and he goes, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
There's more like it.
You know what? From the pod, actually, that just came to mind. Sorry. Batch brews. You know how we were like long blacks are out, batch brews are in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm a filter drinker. I live for it. But I am getting to the point now where like I've gone from not trusting a place with their long blacks because they don't clean their machines or whatever it is to now I'm starting to not trust batch brew because they don't clean their containers either.
That was the hard thing when you were talking about drink more batch brew and do that because I know I've had it from yours and it's outstanding and it's fantastic. But I do find that batch brew is one of the most hit or miss experiences I have with coffee in Melbourne. I don't know about elsewhere, but in Melbourne, I do find it very hit or miss. So I guess you got to know the cafe. But what do you think? Did you find that?
And you gotta find somewhere you trust. And like this is why I'm so big on this is what my cafe is all about. We call it Project Zero. Because part of the reason is we do everything assisted by machinery. So we have to train people really well, but we have to be guided by machines. So we use something called a refractometer, which measures the strength of coffee. That's just long story short. That's just a way we know it can taste the same each day or be made the same each day to the same standards. And if we're not, we'll pick it up because we record the data every day and you'll see an anomaly. Things like just cleaning it every day, that's so important. But where this all leads to is like every now and then we're going to make you a coffee that doesn't taste great.
Yep.
Shit just happens with coffee, particularly with espresso. There's some things are just out of your control.
There's 500 steps in the process of where things could go wrong.
Yeah, but we're working so hard to make you consistently great coffee and putting the effort behind the scenes that you'll never ever see. That's why, once you find a good coffee shop that does all those things, reward them with, continually going there.
Yeah, reward them with your patronage and keep supporting them. Absolutely.
And it's not like you're not getting much out of it.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot out of it.
Yeah. And now I wanted to ask you, just Kirk, while we're here, just while it's the boys hanging out, how is cafe ownership life going? For those that don't know, Kirk he's just talking about Project Zero, but it's a recent new endeavor. He's taken a lot on his plate. I know I see it, that it's a lot of work. I think you're doing an amazing job. How is it going for you?
It's good. It's very rewarding, and there's a lot of challenges. Like some weeks will be unexpectedly not as busy, and you don't really know why. And so you have to kind of adjust to that. But I think in summary, it's tough, but I enjoy the challenge.
Yep.
And there's so much further to go because everything I just spoke about with, batch brew and trying to make that good, we're trying to apply that to everything and just keep our focus narrow. Like we're not into doing plates of food. We're into just making good coffee and interesting cups of coffee.
But I heard you were going to start selling sandwiches, right? You wanted to get in the sandwich game?
Oh, no, that's not me. That's Dan Dick.
Dan Dick loves sandwiches.
He's double barrel down the hot take.
Famously, his hot take of hating sandwiches and sandwich shops, and it's just a bloody sandwich.
Yeah. No, he's
just a sandwich.
But, that's how it's going. And, some weeks are tougher than others. And we're just getting to a point now. We've been there for 2 months and I can sort of enjoy a day off, to come do the podcast. We don't open on Sundays, so close that day, and that's great.
Have you had any like major disasters? I'm trying to think about. There were just times where you'd like, I remember like walking to the cafe where you'd get 3 calls from 3 different employees being like, I'm sick, and it's just you and one person serving 80 people and you can't do it, or bang, the water's flooding and the cafe's half full of water. Have you had any moments like that yet?
Not yet.
Yeah.
The jug rinser broke yesterday. I'm not sure how to fix that. Just yet. Spring in it broke. So I'm like,
So
not
there's
yet.
something.
Not yet.
Perfect. Well, I mean, this will be the part of the show. This is the new segment. So this will be the part where we'd want to jump to you, the listener, and any questions, send them in. We're at hello@itsjustcoffee.pod. No, sorry, itsjustcoffeepod.com. I'll say it again because I screwed it up. hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com. We got it right that time. So send us anything that you want to that. You can send a voice memo. You can send a little note in. We'll pull them out on the show. We'll do that each week and kind of chat with everyone. Maybe even look at like, if there's just good places all over the world, good cafes. We want to give cafes a good little shout out. If there's someone local to you that's absolutely killing it that you think everyone should know about, let us know and let us give them a shout out, because support the local cafes, and we'd love to help out there wherever we can.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to meeting more people through this. Like, it's great to be on here and create new friends online, but eventually we'll get out there, see the punters, do some live events, like I said in the previous episode of this, and get to know everyone on a greater level.
Oh, and if you're in, I mean, we'll start doing, we've only done live guests at the moment, but we'll start doing some more like Zoom guests or that kind of stuff. So
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide, if there's anyone that you want to see on the pod, let us know. If there's someone that tag him, let him know, let us know. We'd love to get on some more interesting people with different experiences and different sides to coffee.
I'm dead serious about this Jimmy Butler
Jimmy
thing
Butler.
Too. Yeah, fuck, man.
Buckets.
I really want Jimmy Butler to come on. It'll kind of be like a highlight.
Is he called Jimmy Baskets when he's in his coffee world?
It's nice. I like that the two things that he has is the plane, the La Marzocco. It's like, you can go anywhere.
Yeah. Is that famous photo of him carrying the coffee machine onto the plane? It's like, I like that.
He needs to make a naked portafilter that just has like a basketball net coming down on the sides, and it's just like splash every time.
Yeah, big face coffee.
Huge.
So Jimmy, get on the podcast. Actually, I don't know. I know, small now, starting off. At a point, I feel like we can make this happen. I feel like people can help us make this happen and get him on. We should start thinking of some crazy ones that we need to get people's help with.
Can everyone please start flooding Jimmy's Instagram with our handle? Just like, guys, Jimmy, you got to check this one out. Big Face Coffee and Jimmy Butler. We want him on this podcast.
Maybe we need to start getting like pictures of you and I photoshopped, like dunking over him, and just get everyone like sending him to him. Yeah. Or him dunking on us. I don't know what would be more helpful.
I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, that wraps it up for me this week.
That wraps up our coffee break.
Coffee break.
What a coffee break. And Liam, great to have you on the show. What a great addition. You're beautiful to look at and even more beautiful to listen to.
Thank you.
I'm thinking we keep his identity concealed for now.
Well, that puts out what I was just going to say, because, I mean, we don't have to show his face, but I was just going to put out, I was just going to embarrass him, or should I not put out his identity?
Just shoes? Just a,
No, well, I was just going to say, Liam was actually on the Voice a little while ago. Has some great performances. So you can look up Liam. I won't say last name. You can do the deep dive and do the finding. We're in Australia, so it won't be too hard to find. But go have a look at that and hear his beautiful voice.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, there, Governor.
Love you, buddy.
Love it.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having a coffee break with us. This has been It's Just Coffee.
Break.
Break.